as a law student, I actually was very fortunate. I actually wrote an article for a law journal because I had professors who challenged the push and the ways. I mean, Tom Schaefer was one of my law professors. One of the reasons I went to Washington School of Law was he was sort of the founder of the Christianity and law movement and faith and law movement in this country, 30 years ago. There's professors who challenged me to integrate my faith, no matter what it might be, into the practice. One of my friends who's still a professor at Washington Lee used to say, he does this. He's a contracts professor. And I'll never forget this one class where we went through the whole week on this one contract, and we went up and down and around about it, and realized after 2 days of struggling with this case that the buyer could break the contract, or should break the contract in his or her best interest, and that it was going to save the buyer money, but it would break the contract. The third day of this discussion, he asked, okay, now we know the parameters, now we know what will happen. Should the person do it? So I was encouraged by law professors like Sam Calhoun, who I just talked about by Uncas McThenia, who challenged me to think about law in a more creative way. He is the one I stole the quote from about not letting the law become your master. Don't let the tools become your master. So I was really encouraged. I was very blessed to be surrounded by folks like that, who thought about law differently, who thought about the integration of law and morality, and said that law is just a tool, guys. Don't let it overcome you. Don't let it become your end all. So I was fortunate. And one of the article I alluded to a moment ago is an article that somebody thought I might have had some interesting professors, and I did. Tom Schaefer, Uncas McThenia, and Sam Calhoun, all of whom have had a big influence on how I think about the law and practice. So, and that's one of the reasons I went to Washington Lee, is because there was a sense of community there. There was a sense of people struggling with these sort of higher moral questions, if you will, and it certainly was a good legal education. But I think that kind of environment, I'm told by many lawyers and many law professors, is incredibly rare. So I'm blessed to have had that in my years. Okay. Well, I can't be on this block and not talk about Dr. King. I was with my kids in the dentist's office this morning and reading articles about King. It's hard for me not to tear up and not feel so. I've always been connected to Dr. King. My dad used to quote him to me as a kid, even right after he died. To be on the block here with the King legacy is so powerful. To be in the same neighborhood where the Carter Center is, and Jimmy Carter, who's 2 miles away at the Carter Center here. I tell people that this is the only city in the world, I believe, that has 2 Nobel Peace Prize laureates, Dr. King and President Carter. I think I don't have to look very far in my physical world to be reminded of people who are still today using their power. That's the beauty of President Carter, using their power, laying down their power, not to just get great big fees to go talk to folks, but to lay down their power and to serve the community, to serve the world, to create hope in the world by using his power as a former president of the most powerful country on the earth. That's a great witness. And Dr. King, I mean, I don't need to tell him anymore. I get tearing up just walking around the block and seeing his grave and seeing on the base of his grave the things he said, the last thing he said the night before he died. Free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. So I don't have to look far, and that fills me up tremendously.